So this adorable little squishy here is something of a common sight around the tropics of the world. It's an upside down jellyfish, Cassiopeia. And upside down jellyfish are quite commonly believed to be a non-stinging jellyfish. The reason for this is that upside down jellyfish contain plants inside their body tissue, which is not that unique to jellyfish because, I mean, coral as an organism survives predominantly on photosynthetic sugars that are produced by plants living inside their tissue. So it's not like that family hasn't figured out how to keep plants alive and benefit from it before. But most jellyfish use their tentacles for preying, actively on other things, not using them to house plants. So upside down jellyfish are somewhat unique. These Cassiopeia, with all these little plants in them, it gives them a beautiful colour, a rather robust sort of a colour. And then they're commonly found in shallow water, upturned, waving their little tentacles up towards the sun, allowing them to see the sun and get those beautiful sugars from the sun. But most people think that's all they do. And I found out the hard way that it's not. Once upon a time, I was on a tour with a group of people and I found the biggest Cassiopeia I ever had. I think it was about that big around the bell. Normally when you find them out here, they're sort of this kind of size. So this whopping Cassiopeia, I thought it was amazing. So I picked the jellyfish up and I was holding it upside down on my hand, explaining to these people just how easy it is to hold one of these because they can't possibly sting you. When I started to feel a burning sensation crawl down my arm. Now I had a long rashy suit on, but I had an open sleeve, and so I was stinging sensation going down my arm, and it crept down my arm further and further until it reached my armpit. And while I was trying very, very hard not to exhibit the signs of pain that I was feeling, I was explaining how this thing couldn't hurt you anyway. And then, as quick as I could, I let the jellyfish go and tried to wash my arm out. But what I learned then is that they definitely can sting you. And I had to go and do the research to find out exactly what had happened there. Because the other thing is, I mean, normally if you touch a jellyfish, it stings you where you touch it. It doesn't touch you down here when you touch it up here, which was bonkers. But what I found out about these Cassiopeia is that they release a thing called casiosomes. Now, casiosomes are part of their genetic tissue, but they're not attached to them. It's like an independent part of their body, but it's still a part of their body. And these little casiosomes contain the stinging cells, the nematocysts, that jellyfish use to sting and paralyze fish for predation. But because these particular jellyfish are lying on the ocean floor, just trying to photosynthesize, having tentacles that sting isn't necessarily good enough. So what they do is they release these casiosomes into the water around them. And around the jellyfish, there is a sort of a mucous membrane that encases them. So these casiosomes occupy this mucous membrane around them. And what that does for the jellyfish is it means that although it is passively receiving sugars from the sun, it's also actively surrounded by a field of land mines, or underwater mines, I suppose, if you like, and anything that swims past them, although they will not actively prey on it, may very well run into those stinging cells and be stung by it. But if you pick one of them up, of course, and distress it, which is what I had done unthinkingly, if you distress them, they will release all of those casiosomes and their mucous membrane out into the water. And because I had it up here, obviously it was released down and distributed throughout my shirt, and it hurt like hell. It was one of the worst jellyfish stings I'd ever had, and I've been stung by quite a few different types of jellyfish, but yeah, it was a consistent red rash all the way down under my arm and around my back for well over a week. So although they seem completely harmless, and they are adorable, watching them swim, they have a beautiful little bell action that makes them swim around. It's just great. But I definitely treat them with a lot more respect now. So these ones, when I photographed them, I did try to photograph them in the ocean, which was quite difficult because jellyfish are quite soft and very easy to move around. So I tried to place it on the Lego, and every time I moved my hand away, it would come away with my hand. So I ended up having to do this just at surface level inside a container filled with water, which is why it's so bright. And the little sparkly bits in the backdrop are actually droplets of water on the outside of the container, which adds to the effect really nicely. I think it looks really good. but I would have rather take it in the actual environment that the jellyfish belongs. It was just circumstances conspired against me, but they are an absolutely magnificent jellyfish. Most jellyfish are. You should definitely do a bit of research into jellyfish because they're pretty amazing things. If I can ever photograph more of them, I definitely will, because I would love to share more information about jellyfish with you. But that's more about what I want. Who cares what I want? What do you want to know about? Which photos do you want me to talk about? Have a look through the Instagram account, find the photos there, or you can find all my photos on my Facebook account. If there's something you want to know more about, you want to know where I found it or how I photographed it, throw it in the comments. I'd love to have a chat about it. Squishy!